And I guess we're live. Well,
Yeah,
with an upload. Because my internet is dog shit and I apologize, but how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm Whiskey Wotan again, and it is time to trash the script. That's my catchphrase, and I'm sticking to it. It's time to trash the script.
No, no, we're not allowed to have catchphrases. You're only
We,
allowed to get
we
those at 1,000 subscribers. That's when you're allowed to have one.
what? That's horseshit. Who made that rule?
I did. Just now, right now, I decided that is
How
the rule.
much did they pay you? How much did Susan would whiskey
Which is
pay
Kiki. No, dude, I don't know. The check's in the mail. They just told me that it's coming.
you are nothing but a globalist shill. 'Cause how much did Soros pay you?
You personally gave me $0, but it was an honor to meet him. No, dude, come on. Dude, oh fuck. Facebook is in the news again, like another privacy blow up, and Sandberg is like, oh, all these anti-Semitic attacks on George Soros are just horrible. And like in every comment on her posts on Facebook, it's like, yeah, you saw this out, woman. There's like, you're the one with the problem. Do you even know what's happening with Facebook? I just saw like the blow up. I don't know what the story
No,
is.
no.
No.
Try to stay away from that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. This week's whiskey is Black 69.
Which, for people that don't know any better, let's say that that's premium whiskey, right?
Yeah, it's premium whiskey in the sense that, like, I don't know, in the sense that Stormy Daniels is sort of a virgin. It's just.
Yes. Well, it's technically imported, right? I think if we're being completely technical, it is imported, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by definition, it's high quality.
1,000 high school rugby players getting drunk and getting their girlfriends pregnant can't be wrong, Wogan. Therefore, VAT 69.
Okay, no, and I reckon you're in great company with a cohort like that. God damn, dude. So, have you noticed it's November already?
It is.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I'm not looking forward to Christmas as much this year.
I only bring that up because remember when everyone was eating Tide Pods?
Yeah.
That was this year, January.
That's the thing, right? I have this idea, right? The Trump presidency was a time warp. Basically, what it's done is that it's stretched out time because now everything is a million fucking years long. Ever since that point, everything's a million years long.
It really feels that way. Like, because I'm like, oh, Tide Pods, man, that was years ago. And then I actually had a look and it's like, no, it's January 2018.
Seriously, though? January? It was January?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And that was actually just a meme that popped up. Like, there's that brilliant, it's a Lemmy show, and there's this one that floats around with the guys like, what is heavier, a kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers? And he looks like so fucking confused. That captioned with Tide Pods were in January, and I'm like, fuck, they were actually in January. Jeez, it's been a long ass year, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, so here we are. So we don't have a script, but we did pick a topic, or at least I did for this one. Immigrating out of South Africa. Yeah?
That we did. Although I suspect Russian hackers. I voted for nanomachines, but let's get into this thing.
Oh, dude, just because I have to kind of point this out, there was a couple of articles came out about the voting machines that the Americans
Please
used to
don't
cast
say
their
it.
votes.
Oh no!
Yes.
We really? Okay, fine.
No, we did not that. Just the video that circulated was hilarious because they showed a video of someone pushing like a candidate and then the one above it like got selected and they were like, oh my god, this is proof of like, Russian hacking. And I'm like, that's just a bad fucking input layer. That's the mouse misconfigured. That's not a hack. That's just a shitty display where it's like moving your mouse a little bit up. It's easy to fix that stuff. My god. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was just checking if we were actually going to go into that in any kind of length.
No. My only interest in that is the fact that the news manages to turn, an incorrect y-axis on a touchpad equals Russian hacking equals democracy has failed. Right? Like, come on.
It would be the technological equivalent of, let's say, I don't know, some guy like forgetfully drops his chocolate wrapper in the middle of the street. And it's like, it's him. He was responsible for shooting JFK because criminal. Like, what? No, it's such a massive leap of logic.
It is, yeah. And it's like, I don't think people realize that it's like, if you don't understand technology, you kind of take it like for granted or that it's magic. But there's this whole universe of like lowest cost, lowest bid for like the worst construction possible on machines that don't work properly because no single person knows how to put a whole thing together. So it is inevitably shit, like in any context. So the fact, for me, it's the news media who like, they don't understand this. And so it's just like, oh, look, you're being hacked. Like you push this and that lights up. Then push lower down on the screen and get the thing to highlight that you want. It is not the end of democracy. It's just bad software. So anyway, emigrating from South Africa. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Time to trash the script. Let's go.
I'm gonna get like a sound effect button to like, what's it, like that MLG air horn? No, no, no.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Look out for sound effects on like the next like 5 episodes from now. We'll have that little pad to hit the thing. Shit. Okay. So this is probably going to be a topic. Oh, my hair. This is going to be a topic around Christmas conversation, I'm sure. Emigrating from South Africa. Odin, are you planning on emigrating from South Africa?
It depends on the time frame. Within the next year, probably not, but it's highly likely that I'm going to study abroad, preferably in the US. So I like certain parts of the US, and I could very much see myself settling there one day. Places like the Midwest, places I have family out in New York, but I'm not really like a coastal city type person, even though I love tech. I would settle somewhere like Ohio, Michigan, the Carolinas. The New Hampshire is really good because I'm more sort of libertarian leaning. So places like New Hampshire are really good for someone with my persuasions. And then I wouldn't totally mind certain parts of the South as well. Atlanta, Georgia, Texas A&M, that kind of area are really cool areas actually, and they have surprisingly good tech opportunities there. So yeah.
I think that the tech opportunities will get better because there's been this starting with Google's IPO in 2004 through to now, there's been like a roughly 2-decade-ish kind of just boom. Like there was the .com boom and then the real boom happened, and now it's like actually living in the cities where this shit happens is really expensive to the point where people are leaving. Like in aggregate, they're leaving. Like San Francisco, Silicon Valley, they're just quitting. So you'll probably find decent jobs. Now, look, for my money, I am also planning on leaving. I am also probably in the next 2 years. With me, it's a bit different. I'm a poor, uneducated pleb who didn't get into university, so I have to.
Trust me, you didn't miss much. Lots of alcohol abuse and mental strain.
So you just described the first 6 years of my career, so maybe I did actually get that. No, dude, like within the first year, I think the company that I joined, within the first 6 months after I joined, like the whole development team was downsized, to use the politically correct term for fired, because they had been apparently abusing resources and not delivering on schedule. But for the 6 months I was there, I got to know this database administrator who kept a bottle of Johnny Walker at her desk that she would climb into during the week at work because of the stress of dealing with that. So I saw some of it.
Classy.
I know. And she was one of the most competent and upset people I've ever had to work with. So it's interesting.
I don't think I've ever met a happy database or network specialist ever in my life.
Oh, no. I've met hundreds of them. But they're the ones who think that DBA ends at designing a table without knowing what the column types are. And it's like, yeah, I built the table. I'm a DBA. No, dude.
No.
So
that's the equivalent of etching out a storyline and saying you're a director.
Oh my God. Or writers, writers.
Yeah,
who,
write
mostly
the
on
synopsis.
Facebook.
Yeah, write the synopsis of a movie on a Wikipedia article and you consider yourself a movie script writer. Like, no, bud.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's the barometer for knowing if you're actually a DBA. the database makes you want to kill yourself every day. At that point, you're in, because then you've dealt with backups, replication, column types, file locations, different disk speeds. You now know the difference between ATA and SCSI because you've had to learn that because of performance issues. That sort of shit makes you a DBA. Just building tables doesn't. But anyway, so to come back to, what was the point I was making? Oh, I'm leaving.
The subject, yes.
Yeah, the subject.
Both of us are probably going to leave at some point in the future.
Yeah. So like my path is different. I have kind of gone full-time freelance, and the plan is to build up some kind of business that I can take with me. You know, so something where it's like international clients and I can just redirect money overseas eventually. Because I am like, and I know that this is stupid, and I accept the fact that this is not smart, but I'm an ethical taxpayer in South Africa, which I think there's like 10 of us.
You just got kicked out of the Libertarian Club.
I know.
Kick him out.
I know.
He's out.
I'm sorry. I'll revoke my lib card.
Just get out. Get the hell out of here, man. You know who you are right now?
Who am I?
That kid who told the teacher, "Hey, teacher, you forgot about our homework." Don't be forgotten homework, Freddy. That's who you're being right now.
It's kind of like my revenge, because I was never that kid, so that's me now. No, it's just like because in order to land it's like this whole sequence of events. To get the big customers, you need the tax clearance. To get the tax clearance, you need SARS to do shit. So eventually it boiled down to, I have to do this. I'm being coerced. It's not by choice. I'm being coerced.
Okay, fine.
Let me put it this way. I don't like paying the taxes. Like, I really, really don't like paying them.
Okay. But for a second there, you almost made Milton Friedman cry.
I'm sorry, Milton. I'm sorry.
And Ayn Rand.
And Ayn Rand, right, yeah. So that's what I'm doing now. And then the intention is like to kind of become a bit more mobile, and then just kind of look at opportunities overseas. So, you know, you're looking at the US, and honestly, I think within the first 2 days of spending some time in American Fork in Utah, I just fell in love with like the area we were staying in. It's just like
select parts of the US, like even New York as a state I could, but upstate New York, like Ithaca, or you know, like where sort of Cornell is, not like New York City, actually.
Yeah, my understanding is that New York City is basically just a concentration of like human misery and concrete.
It has some nice bars, and it's got its charm. I'm thinking in the long term, where I'd like to grow up and raise my kids, I'd rather like Atlanta, Georgia, or Carolina, or something like that, or somewhere in the Midwest, Michigan.
Yeah, no, American Fork was great because it's just south of Provo, which itself is like south of the Salt Lake City. But the area we were staying in was like 60% untouched nature. It was literally just like huge open fields, mountains, and then like these very kind of, what's the opposite of dense? Like spread out.
Sparse. So sort of like Vermont, because I've never been to Utah, but I've been to Vermont as well.
I would not know. What I do know,
Vermont, very green state. It's just miles and miles of green hills, and where Ben and Jerry's is from. I don't know why it started there, but just miles and miles of green hills. A couple of guys sitting on their porches with like a rifle to ward off bears, and that's it. That's all there is out there.
You see, now that sounds like my kind of place. Like big cities, not me, but like, you know, nice, quiet with a good internet connection, and which is like, that's perfect. But for me, it's my route is probably going to be to one of the other countries. There's a bunch of them that have very friendly visa programs. So at the moment, I'm looking at Panama, which should be pretty interesting. It's the cheapest country in the world to get to if you're from South Africa.
Really? Well, maybe I'll look at it. Well, my other thought was also impossibly hard, which is Japan, but that's just fucking impossible. Or South Korea, you
do realize that in Japan, like there aren't like anime girls walking around on the streets, right?
I will not hear this blasphemy on our show, good sir. You will take that back. Okay, I will walk on the streets, and some random anime girl will just bump into me and be like, "Ara, oh." And for some reason, gravity will go all out of whack, and her breast will jiggle 60 trillion times per second. And conveniently, a wind gusts by and blows up her panties, and like, that's what it's like in Japan. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's certainly in your Japan. I will grant you that in your version of Japan, everything you just said is true. Um, in the real Japan, it's a little bit different. It's still pretty freaking epic, though. Especially because they've got like there was a story that circulated about some spa in a mountain somewhere that's been family owned for like the last like 900 years or something. Like there's just like that level of tradition seems like it would come with a whole bunch of really cool benefits. So yeah.
Well, it's either that for me or Eastern Europe, certain parts of Eastern Europe, like Croatia.
Okay.
Croatia is actually surprisingly ripe, very nice. Their economy is really picking up. Solid property rights, solid governmental practices. Their shits, their taxes aren't ludicrous, and that's saying a lot coming from me. And
Mr.
you know,
No
it's
Tax.
and just the general culture there of people is actually, from what I've heard, it's really nice. So it's quite tempting to me, Croatia, and they seem to have a good spirit of ingenuity. So yeah, that's my other pick, Croatia.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so for me, it's like because at first I was thinking like the kind of classic post-British colony countries like America, Canada, Australia, all the ones that seem to be successful somehow.
Why go for America Light when you can have a real America?
Well, yeah, getting into the place. Although actually, I haven't actually looked at it. My problem with it is that their immigration stuff is Byzantine, like almost by design, because every state has their own shit. There's the federal shit. There's like this process that kind of makes you want to cry. Now compare that to Panama. You can do the whole thing with one lawyer in about 3 weeks, and you can have residency within 6 months, and it doesn't cost you a lot. Like it would probably cost you the equivalent of it would cost you less than a wedding ring if you're following the rules of salary multiples. It'll cost you less than a wedding ring to.
I know a bit about buying wedding rings. Inside joke. Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, like I think it's called the Friendly Nations visa, and what's cool about this is that put me onto other countries. Chile looks amazing in South America. Also,
yes. Actually, it's actually I know I'm hopping on about this, the most libertarian country in South America, and its economy is putting even some first world countries to shame. The rate at which they're climbing, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, and it's like you don't think of it because you look at a map of South America. It's like, you know, drugs, poor people, drugs, economic collapse, and Chile is like just like a margin. But
don't forget tacos.
Tacos, yes. Enchiladas, por favor. No, and then you got Chile, which has a shit together, and it's kind of like I was surprised by Panama because it's right between it's like Colombia and Mexico. It's like right there. It's on the drug route. It has to be.
Well, I mean, the canal. The thing about Panama with the canal and all that, I know this is going to come up, but doesn't that make that country an attractive target for annexation and all sorts of stuff?
It might, but for like the last 20 years or so, and looking forward, it seems like it's going to be pretty stable. Because there's a lot of trade with the US, so it's like it's to the point where Panama interchangeably uses the US dollar locally, from what I've seen just looking online. So it's
McDonald's. Melania, where's Panama?
Yeah, so like it's that, and then also like Europe, Croatia I haven't considered, but the Netherlands specifically has a
Croatia. Europe, I would pick Croatia. And up until about 10, 15 years ago, I would have picked Germany.
Oh, do you not like their sausage? Is that the only reason that they changed the bratwurst recipe in the last 10 years?
Yeah, you could say that the bratwurst recipe has decidedly less pork in it these days.
Oh, shit! Yeah, by concentration, the pork levels have diminished, for sure, in that sausage factory, which is the German border. Just dodging that whole fucking issue. Just yeah, wide berth, abnormal load, just fucking ignoring the whole thing. To say
this video has been retroactively demonetized.
Yeah, it's actually we have to pay YouTube to put this on. That's how bad it is.
Damn it, Susan.
But look, Netherlands also is a pretty interesting one. So from my point of view, being self-employed is actually pretty important. I'm one of those idiots who, there's a saying, an entrepreneur is someone who works 80 hours a week, so he doesn't have to work 40 hours a week for someone else. That's me. That's just me. So like, Netherlands has a thing where they don't mind if you don't have a degree or can't get formal employment, so long as you can generate an income at a certain level. And that type of thing is attractive to me. So Netherlands is probably another option that I would think about. And living there, there's still free movement within the EU. It's only the UK which is fucking off. So I could still get to a whole bunch of places in Europe being based there. So yeah, it's a thought anyway.
Okay, so let's get, well, that's pretty large. Well, let's get to the other option. And now this is one I know we discussed some time ago, which a lot of people, I mean, even in our position, we're sort of, for lack of a better word, privileged in that we kind of, though our options aren't unlimited, we have far greater options than a lot of South Africans who may choose or want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I discussed this earlier in the week, but one of the options that is sort of screaming in their faces and people tend to overlook it is immigrate to Botswana.
Oh, yes. So hang on. Just before we do this, I want to run the sponsor clip.
And now, a message from our sponsor.
And I just want to point out that this episode is sponsored by the Immigration Department of Botswana. So carry on.
Wait, where's the sponsorship banner?
It's played. We're now officially sponsored by the Botswana Tourism Agency, whatever it's called. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Carry on, good sir.
Okay, so I'm going to base it in that being Tswana myself. I'm obviously somewhat biased, but I am from Pretoria, which is like the third home of the Tswana in South Africa, second only to Mahikeng in the northwest. And I suggest Botswana or even Namibia or something for a simple reason is that the greater the distance, the more difficult, the more expensive it is to get there. These are countries where the distance is not so great, and also their economies are still in a sort of developing sort of time frame. So they're still more welcoming. They're less discerning than, say, Japan, in who they let in. I'll qualify that less discerning in that you can't just walk into the countries, but you're less likely to get rejected if you legitimately apply there or legitimately go there.
Sorry.
I don't know too well about Namibia, but I mean, I still have family in Botswana, so I can speak more authoritatively there. You know, their currency is surprisingly strong. The Bula is surprisingly strong. I don't know what the exchange rate to the dollar or the rand is, but it's quite competitive. They've had strong succession in terms of presidency, unlike most African countries where like some dude sits in power forever or his puppets stay in power forever.
Yeah, like South Africa and the Zuma dynasty, which
exactly.
I don't think we've gotten rid of them yet, but yeah.
It's that, and the other thing is from a sort of, I mean, their previous president, Seretse, well, the first great one, he was the great chief. He caused quite a stir not marrying into his clan or marrying into a clan and marrying a British woman, and then his son, when his son Ian became president, after a couple of presidents, he was educated in the sort of British sort of classical liberal way, so he brought that sort of rule of law to Botswana as well.
Yeah, that's good.
So he was educated at sort of Sandringham, that kind of place. So it's a very stiff upper lip sort of classical, the old British sort of classical liberal rule of law type thing, which I think is actually very good for a country in general. And then now, who's pres now? Shit, I disgraced myself by not knowing. But his success is pretty good as well. And the most important thing, I think, also is from a cultural perspective. I know a lot of YouTubers throw this around, but it's one of those African countries that has a lot of sort of Western values, as you would say, honoring a promise, contracts, fulfilling contracts, shit like that. That's baked into Tswana culture. One of the most popular Setswana names is Zipiso, which means promise. So it's honoring a contract, being to places on time, doing things like that. It's baked into the culture, and that gets expressed in their law and their crime rates and all that shit.
Yeah. No, and that's like the crazy thing, right? Because Botswana, I have, just in terms of the numbers, I've also seen just objectively they're growing, they're doing better. The Pula Rand exchange rate is usually like one Pula to like R1.20. That was last time I checked a couple of weeks ago. There's only like 3 other currencies on the continent which are stronger than the Rand. So that's, I think, pretty interesting. But for me, like, so every now and then when I have this immigration discussion with someone, there's like usually only 2 responses. Like, what are your plans to leave? Or why would you leave? South Africa is great. That's like a trigger phrase for me now. It's like, everything is fine. No, fuck, dude. Okay, I've got like charts and shit. Like, it's not fine. Today, was it yesterday, a news article published, Eskom has had to shut down 11 of their 15 coal-fired power units because the maintenance backlog is so big they literally cannot afford to fix them. That's where we are right now, and we didn't get here overnight. And this is like, and I want to talk about this because this is the thing that I have to get across to people. The fact that things look great from your perspective, you go to work, you get a salary every month, you can buy all the stuff you want, life kind of fits together for you. That's great. It's a bubble. Dude, you have no idea how fragile this bubble is, because that bubble was built on decades of putting in infrastructure, not just physical, but educational and legal and procedural. And all that stuff has been steadily undone through whether it's malice or incompetence. And we're at a point now, and this is the stat that every South African should know this one. In 2016, they found that 78% of grade 4 students couldn't read for meaning in any language. That is a bright red indicator on everything else is about to go wrong.
Including their own home languages.
Yes, including their own home languages. It's the PIRLS study. There's a guy, Nick Spall, Spaull. He does this stuff locally. He's the one who wrote the report about the crisis in our education. And you can look at the data and it's not good. And the test doesn't just pick random kids. They pick like representative samples from well-functioning schools. So the best possible average we got was 1 out of 5 kids can read for meaning. It's not a good number. It just is not a good number. And the problem is that the way that South Africa has been set up, there was always the presumption that South Africa was a very wealthy nation and would be a very wealthy nation, and we could redistribute our way to prosperity, and we can't. And
no, we can't.
And it's like, in reality, we've been drawing against this. It's almost like a loan facility for years, just with the taxes, with everything. We've been drawing on this kind of future money, thinking that if the economy grows, we can bring everything back down, we'll be fine. No. And it's like it's a full video where you can go into like everything that's like, these are the things that are wrong. But the fundamental truth is that our ability as a country to build a competitive economy is collapsing. It hasn't collapsed yet, but it is busy collapsing. And that powers everything. So like, for example, you point out, it's baked into Tswana culture that you honor a commitment and you honor a contract. That's it's the psychological baseline for building trade between people and building the procedures and the rules, and that's how you function. South Africa doesn't really have that. Culturally, we don't on like any point. I mean, South Africa,
Sorry, and also culturally is, and as you know, gone, because culture is an important thing.
Yeah, no, and it's just like what's interesting. If you look at the genesis of nations, if you look at how they came to be and why, a lot of them, it's territory that was expanded into by an existing power, or, like in America's case, they fought for independence because they had a vastly different set of ideals than the colonial powers they came from. South Africa was built entirely to extract wealth. The whole reason we have South Africa is that they wanted to refuel ships and then they wanted a mine. And that's like 90% of why anything happened in this country. So there was never a point where South Africans got together and were like, okay, we're going to build a nation that looks like this. No, it's been compromise after compromise after compromise. And we're at this point where in all sectors, I mean, the same shit that drives government corruption drove Steinhoff, like the exact same playbook. Big men, fuck the rules, we're going to do what we want. We'll pay people under the table to make things happen. That's almost like par for the course now. It's in Trevor Noah's comedy sketches. That's how fucking common it is to bribe a police officer, but that's not what you should be doing. So we're at this point where there's this...
Try bribe a cop in bots. Seriously.
I actually...
And I don't just mean in
that,
Cameroon. In any tiny town in bots, try bribe a cop. You'll see what happens. They are professionals who take their jobs seriously.
Yep. And this is the thing, right? The strength of the nation is built on the strength of its individuals, and we don't have strong individuals. We have desperate individuals, corrupt individuals, to a large degree. I mean, most recently, a family member of mine took a trip around South Africa. He was driving. He was actually stopped and pulled over unfairly and threatened with jail unless he bribed a cop with like $200 in KFC. And I didn't believe him until he sent me the photo of the KFC and the cash to give to this guy. And then afterwards...
Was this cop in a helicopter?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Chicken Cop. Dude, there's been no news.
I just want to know what happened to Chicken Cop. The hero we deserve.
Yeah, we'll find out. But dude, here's the craziest part, right? This cop took my dad's license and his details, whatever, then threatened him to, like, it was a Friday and the magistrate was only in on Monday, so he would have spent the weekend in jail. So my dad went back and got him the bribe. And then afterwards, the police officer phoned him to thank him for the food. Like, I can't really compute that sequence of events in my head, other than to say that this is endemic to the way things work now. And that's not a good sign. That you have, because corruption is not a thing you fight with policy. It's like the people that do the work have to be integral. Otherwise, no amount of rules or punishment will help. So anyway, all of that being said, all that's happening now is that what the bubble of wealth that was built between 1948 and 1994, it has been shared and split. It's been extracted, but it's shrinking, and at some point it'll burst. And then South Africa will change profoundly. And what it'll change into, I don't know. I just know that that's not going to be a good change. It's not going to be peaceful. It's not going to be like a seamless handover. It's not going to be a 1994 Nelson Mandela, Jesus Christ, Rainbow Nation moment. It's not. We deferred a whole bunch of bloodshed there, but I don't think it's going to come back and just be like, no, we're cool. It's just not. So that's like my main kind of decade-long view on why it's probably smarter to leave. Even if you think things are going to get better here, they're going to get a lot worse first. Because there's just no way to keep going like we've been going for the next 20 years. So that's me. That plus the taxes, dude. Fuck. The taxes.
Also, the bot stock exchange is actually doing better than the JSE at the moment. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out why bots is a better option for, you know, people who are not so wealthy and do not think is that for, let's say, your average lower to lower class family in Pretoria. The other thing is, I know a lot of people who leave and they're like, I don't really want to leave South Africa, and I miss its culture, but I don't have any other option. That's why I say countries like Namibia or Bots, it's not South Africa, but it's not totally alien to you. Yeah. If you get that, like, I mean, for example, I could go to Botswana today and I'll be fine. I could walk across the border. I already speak the language. Well, no, not really. Actually, there's over a couple of generations, there's been a bit of a divergence between the dialect of Setswana spoken in Botswana and the Setswana spoken in Pretoria or the Northwest or whatever. But in general, I could just walk across the border and I'd be totally fine. Yep. I walk to my grandmother's sister's house and I'll be totally fine. Yeah. You know. So yeah. Yeah, and it's like those countries, they're completely differently shaped. They were created for different reasons. They have different people. You know, South Africa it's always been violent. You know, it was two competing armies that clashed, you know, over decades of warfare and came to a bad compromise. And nobody ever thought, okay, well, let's build a home for our children so that, you know, our great grandkids can have a better future. Like, that doesn't seem to be in the calculus anywhere. The way people ensure a good future for their families today is to find ways to leave. That's like the main thing people are doing. So yeah, it's it's going to be rough. You might leave before me, but yeah. Yeah. Although if I start studying stateside for a while, I might leave before you.
Are you?
Also, I just want to be stateside for the holidays, so I can get like a girlfriend there, and then like go to her parents' house for Thanksgiving, and then like look her father in the eye as he's carving the turkey, and then just like look him straight in the eye and think and say, Mr. Smith, if you think this turkey stuffed, you should have seen what I did to your daughter last night. I probably won't survive. But it'll be totally. I'll live stream it. It'll be like the last episode of the Noscript Show. Like,
yeah, that like I think then I'll do the edit afterwards where you have the grainy cell phone video of that attempt, and then I follow up with the headline "Local man shot" or something.
See what I did to your daughter last night. What?
Yeah, no, and I just so negative reasons.
I just always wanted to make that joke.
No, it's a solid joke. I wouldn't make sure it's an open-minded family. I think, but you can judge that going in. I'm sure. Yeah, but there's also there's like another very good reason to leave beyond like the push factors, like the things that are going to go wrong and are going wrong. The world is also like changing at an increasing rate with automation and AI and machine learning, and it's one of these things.
I would know.
Sorry?
I would know.
Yeah, you see, and you know, so you can vouch for me when I say this. And the thing is, what it does, and there's this in human history. There's basically been so far. Everything is divided into pre- and post-industrial revolution in terms of what economies and societies look like. Then there was the information revolution, which was still kind of in with the internet, and we can see how that's changing things now. But when we get to machines that can build machines, that's a whole new paradigm of how things will operate. Nobody knows how the fuck that's going to look, by the way. Nobody knows yet. But what we do know is that in South Africa, there is no vision. There is no path from wherever you are today to working in those sorts of industries. Like South Africa's fate is probably going to end up like a mining colony of like one of the global superpowers. That's probably what's going to happen. So yeah, if you actually want to be part of the future, as it were, then being in the US, Europe, China, those places is probably a better bet than being here. Even, and this is like another topic because you've talked about Botswana, but there are other African countries which are also kind of starting to get their shit together, and that could, in future actually provide more opportunities as well, and that's worth looking at, I think.
I mean, like I said, the main reason I brought up Botswana and to a lesser extent Namibia is for us, we because that's the thing about immigration, right? The other thing you have to consider is not just where you're going, but your skill set and all that. And we're fortunate enough. We're in the STEM field of skill sets.
Yep.
So we are fortunate enough to possess can I say, highly demanded skill.
You can definitely say it's a highly demanding skill for sure. But it's definitely in higher demand, and it is much more portable than other skills.
That was going to be my other point. That's the crux I was going to get to, because the thing is, being a software engineer, it's highly demandable, highly in demand and demanding, but it's also very portable. Now, something like a lawyer or a doctor, as far as I understand, is highly demanded, but it's not highly portable, because you have to go to the bar there, and you have to medical associations, and even architects and engineers, they have their various associations, which by design lock you into a region of where you qualified, even though essentially that let's say 700 newtons of force will do this much to steel, regardless of where you are on the planet. An engineer here knows that as much as an engineer in California. So why the hell do they have their own association? Like, physics doesn't change depending on where you are on planet Earth. Physics is physics. Like,
well,
it's the same.
Well, you say that, but you also made the very excellent point that ever since Trump was elected, time has slowed down. So
it has slowed down. It has slowed down. I submit, and this is just the comic book geek in me. Also, R.I.P. my man Stan Lee.
Yeah. Rest in peace, you hero, you legend. Absolutely.
Legit the only white guy allowed say the N-word. I would have allowed that.
Yeah, I think what was it? Oh, somebody posted a meme. It was
On his deathbed, if he was like nibbers, I'd be like, it's cool.
somebody pointed out Stanley was like the only white guy to create the most successful African nation, being Wakanda, in a meme. I just thought that's stepping on toes, dude. Come on. But also
SJWs also jumped in and said, "Oh, Stanley was a racist, misogynist."
Of course,
because they had to, you know.
They had to. But
never mind the interview he gave back in like the 80s when he was like, the cool thing about Spider-Man is that he's totally masked. He could be anyone. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, whatever. Spider-Man could be anyone, and we love that. Never. So he was ahead of the SJWs in that curve. But
yeah. Okay. It's like, and look, the only thing I'm going to say about Wakanda is that the weekend after Black Panther landed, hotel and flight bookings searching for Wakanda jumped on average 600%. People were trying to get there. So good job, Stanley, for that. All right.
So So let's wrap the immigration thing. Yes, for the first like half hour of the show.
Yeah. So no, like
it's your skills. Your skills matter, you know. And we're lucky that we're a STEM thing. I'm lucky that I've published research in the IEEE. I'm a PhD candidate now and all that. I'm exceedingly lucky, but I'm thinking of this immigration topic in terms of Chris or Pete, who works at the mechanic store in Pretoria. If he wants to get out, then I'm sorry, Chris, but fucking London isn't really viable for you. Botswana's or Namibia or Zambia are far more viable for you than thingy.
Even like counterintuitively, Zimbabwe at this point. I mean, I think it's on a better trajectory now than it was at any point in the last 10 years. But the thing is there, it's like, even if you're older and your skills are mostly manual, but you have a lot of experience in trades, yes, electricians, plumbers, mechanics, that type of stuff, those skills are also portable in Africa, I think, because there's a big demand for them, and Africa isn't very heavy on the regulation side yet. But also
that might be its only economic saving grace,
which is good, because like in the next 100 years, Africa is going to grow exponentially in terms of population and workforce size. So we can't afford to be regulated yet. But the other point I wanted to make, and like the last one here, like being in a STEM field or being in computer programming, it's a field which has very, very little regulation at the moment. Like the only time you're actually regulated is when you're doing stuff in like medical or defense or for government, and then there's audits. But for like everything else, apps, web services, you name it, it's a free-for-all. Now, every now and then, somebody sort of in my industry...
I've worked partially on defense projects. You'd be surprised how little that's regulated.
Awesome. Okay, so just don't hack the missiles and we'll be fine.
No offense, Brad, our CIA angel. Or David, our Mossad angel.
No, it's just there's like an apocryphal story floating on the internet from a European defense contractor where they had to do the software for a submarine, and by the laws, they wanted to install Windows on the submarine or something like that.
Nice.
And so
smart move.
I know, like, tell me about it, right? Blue screen of death, like 60,000 feet under. But as part of the process, they had to disclose the Windows source code for a complete audit to the agency doing the work. So I think maybe abroad there's like a bit more of it. In Africa, like if you can make the rocket go, I'm sure you're fine. But the point, which you keep distracting me from, is that if you...
Sorry, but that's why we need the soundboard.
Yeah, no, we do, so I can just like slap you to keep quiet, like a whiplash noise. If you can't program, but you are capable of learning new things, and you're curious and you're just a little bit driven, you can actually pick these skills up. If you can work a computer, and if you can like sext people on Facebook, you have all the skills you need to learn how to write software. As scary as it is to admit that. And
if you can take pictures of your genitals and send it to strangers, you can write programs.
Yeah, it's literally like, if you know how to push buttons and make the thing you want come up, that's like the basic skill you need. Because every now and then someone in my circle will interview for jobs, and it's usually technical, and I always ask them, what were the candidates like, because it's a good barometer for how we're doing. And without fail, they've told me that university qualifications in the last couple of years have made no difference, because they don't speak to competency or curiosity or anything like that.
Oh, that's depressing to Mr. Master's degree over here.
I know, and this is the qualifier that they keep bringing up, it's all about the person doing the degree. 20 years ago, most people who came out of university were good hires. Today, you have to be more discerning because it's down to the individual who did it. And if that's who you are, a curious, driven, hardworking person, you can learn these things and you can make a good run of it. So it's not, because I know that there's a lot of people who don't have transferable skills, but if they apply themselves, could actually pick something like this up. And it's even just knowing enough JavaScript to be a front-end engineer can get you a job somewhere else. It's not even that much once you kind of get into it. You don't need a 3-year degree to learn React. You just need some patience and some basics on how JavaScript works, that sort of thing. So it's an accessible industry is the point I'm closing on, that it's in demand, it's demanding, it's portable, but it's also the most accessible one to upskill to a point where you can do good enough work to get paid for it, as opposed to being a doctor or a lawyer, which takes a whole lot longer. Cool. That is everything I wanted to say about immigration. You must have a lot of memes queued up by now, I'm hoping.
I do have a lot of memes and 1 or 2 side subjects if you'd like to discuss them.
Let's absolutely do that.
Any side news subjects that you... Sorry, let me wrap up my immigration thing. So yes, you're right. And if you want to immigrate, there's the classic candidates, but there are places close to home, especially if you are of a skill set that's not easily movable, and or you just don't want to really get somewhere too alien, then there are places closer to home that you should consider seriously. That will fit your bill much better.
Yeah.
I just want to move to North Carolina so that Lindsey Graham can be my senator.
And that is a very, very good reason, right? Choosing your representation either by voting or just by moving to the country where the person is.
Thug life, Lindsey Graham. Yes! Where'd you get these testicles from, Lindsey? They're gigantic.
Yeah.
For a guy named Lindsey, he's got testicles the size of fucking Jupiter.
Yep. So you heard it here, folks. Old white American senator with cosmic balls, I think is the technical
Backed
definition.
up by black African programmer.
That's where we are nowadays, guys. 2018, get with it. The other, just the other side thing, just because it's all over tech news right now, is Facebook. Coming back to the Russia thing for 30 seconds, people seem decreasingly convinced that Facebook is innocent. Just in general, the vibe is those fuckers are up to something. It doesn't even matter what the story is now, whether it's Russia, Cambridge Analytica, whatever it is, those fuckers are up to something. And yeah.
Jerome, are you getting this? Facebook's not innocent?
Yeah.
In other words, in other news, water is wet and McDonald's sells cheeseburgers.
Yeah. So I'll lay out the 2 pieces of information that you should think about whenever you engage on Facebook. Number 1, their global user growth has flatlined. Their stock took an enormous hit it's probably months now, on an earnings call where they basically pointed out, they've reached 1 billion something users, but realistically they're not projecting to grow that at all. So I think they've kind of tapped out on the number of people on the face of the planet that will have a Facebook account, which is really scary. So the second problem is the only way they can grow revenue is to mine your data harder, advertise to you harder, launch new services, try and keep you on the platform, etc. So everything they've done up until this point has been adorable because they could always grow their way to more revenue if an experiment failed. Now they can't grow anymore. So the only way that they can stay profitable and stay growing is if they find ever increasing ways of targeting you with specific ads and specific information. And it's not ever going to get better, because the way that they've kind of locked into this, they have to do this. This is their business model. If they started charging for Facebook, they would lose 90% of their audience in like a week. So they have to do this. So anyway, that's kind of why I'm at the point where I'm going to kill my Facebook account. Like in the last month, I haven't opened it once, and it started sending me notices. Did you see this friend's comment on another friend's post? Like they're trying so badly to draw me back into the app, and it's just like I don't have time for it. So yeah, I think that's me.
I think the only reason to keep a Facebook account is for like certain groups and shit, because like Twitter doesn't really have groups that you can chat to.
Yeah, it's like my thing would be, you know, get them on Messenger or WhatsApp, and if you can't do that, then kind of stay. But like I think people globally are fatigued with like the baby pictures and the wedding photos and shit. Like I think we've all kind of grown sick of the social news feed to some extent, far more now than we were 5 years ago.
Haha, look at us, we've managed to reproduce. Fuck you. Okay, thank you.
Well, that being said, what I would like to do is just follow people for their wedding pictures, and then try to set up a public scoreboard of how much in debt they've gone to fund these increasingly elaborate weddings. I think that would be
That's why I'm going to have project. Like the most libertarian wedding of all time. Guns are welcome. All guns and shit is welcome. Whatever, as long as it doesn't violate the non-aggression principle, it's good at our wedding.
So you're going to do a thing where it's like all the empty bottles from the open bar get lined up and shot down the range, that sort of thing. Would you do that, like a shooting range at your wedding? I think you should.
I could do that, actually. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so just, you know, get people semi-drunk and then haul them off to a point where they can just shoot whatever rifles they brought with them. That sounds like fun. Thing to say.
That is not fun. For the record, David and Brad, my NSA angels and my Mossad angels, I am a very responsible gun owner. Yes. Very responsible. In fact, I've never actually touched a drop of alcohol and then touched a gun ever in my life.
Good. There you go.
Not like fucking once, just always straight down there.
Cool.
Because that's the kind of thing I know from experience. That's the kind of thing you don't really want to take chances on. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of guns, GOSA is in the news recently.
Who and what is GOSA?
Gun Owners of South Africa, okay. Of whom I'm a member.
Of course.
Which is, I guess, like the South African NRA, but more awesome. Shout out to my man. Shout out to my man Paratus at Paratus on Twitter. But yeah, they're fighting the good fight for gun owners to own guns because the government wants to take away the for private citizens to own guns for self-defense as a reason. And we all know what a fucking terrible idea that is. Even if you're not really into guns, the minute you take away that reason, we all know what that means.
Yeah.
It means you've effectively disarmed the populace, and disarming the populace is almost always the first step in tyranny. It doesn't matter what regime it is. It's the first step in tyranny. I don't know, there's plenty of people who aren't crazy about guns, and I respect that. If you don't want a gun, that's fine. Just don't take away my right to own a gun.
So like again, on the ever-growing flip chart of reasons to leave South Africa, between energy, education, defense, public investment, healthcare, all the rest, gun ownership is one of them. So GOSA, I know about the thing that leaked. There was like a draft regulation, and then it leaked, and then they backpedaled. Oh, that's not the final version. But bitch, if you are even remotely intending to take those rights away, you would put them in the draft. Come on, it's not like you're going, everyone can keep their guns, but the draft will say we're taking them away. That's not how it works. So, eternal thanks to whoever actually leaked the document. You've definitely helped. But yeah,
and if you want to help, donate to GOSA. That's my shilling on the show. Seriously, time or money, whatever. Like they're fighting for the rights for everyone to own guns, if they so choose to.
And just. Like, it's worth pointing out, and this is a video that I wouldn't ever embed on the show, but it floated on Twitter a while back, and I think you might have seen it as well. There's there were two security guards sitting in a car, and there was like a dashboard camera pointed at them. And then out of nowhere, two guys stormed the car and took them both out. Just bam, bam, done. That's what will happen to you if you can't defend yourself, sort of thing.
Those guys were eventually hunted down and killed by the police, thankfully.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was the follow-up image I can't show of like a door, like in a hallway, just one of them lying there. It's like game over. Yeah. But the important thing to remember here is that the criminals are better equipped than the police is at this point, which is why our private security force is larger than our national police force and better equipped. So you absolutely do not want the government to take guns away at all. Like,
yeah, I mean, in my area, I live in a gated area, and our building has, private security. Their main offices are like a couple of streets up from where I live, and I have my own gun in my fucking gun vault in my bedroom where I sleep every night. So believe me, I'm very much prepared to pull the trigger if I have to.
And like that's Joburg mentality. Okay, I'm a lot more chilled here. I don't have a gun, but I'm on the edge of getting one. And it's also,
hey, I'm from Pretoria, bro. We're better than
I will definitely say that Pretoria is like more strictly defended than Cape Town is, for sure. We take for granted the fact that the police more or less do their jobs over here. Just want to get that, that thinking pose up.
Okay, so one tech topic and then get some memes in here.
Yes. I can't think of a tech topic. Hang on.
Did Facebook count as a tech topic?
No, I reckon that was mostly political. There was, hang on. You see, the thing is, I've done some stuff with machine learning in the last 2 weeks, and...
Oh, have you? Okay, cool. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and I'm... So, what was it? Oh, a group of people put together a operating system designed for people that want to build machine learning projects. And really all it is, it's basic Linux, and they've bolted on a bunch of like additional libraries for it. But what's pretty cool is that we're at the point now where these tools are very well thought out and very accessible. Because before TensorFlow, before NVIDIA had their CUDA cores, before all that crap, actually training neural networks, you had to know what you were doing in terms of writing the software. Now it's to the point where it's like basic Python tutorials that you can just download and follow. It's OS 76, I think is the project's name. I can dig it out later and link it.
I hope it's better than Fallout 76, which sucks ass.
Oh shit, I want to get into that in just a second. But just
sucks ass. Okay, it sucks so much ass. If ass was all the things that have been sucked in every porno ever, Fallout 76 would suck more than all the things that have been sucked in every porno ever. It is fucking horrendous. And what a surprise. You made an immersive single-player story about the story of humanity after it raises up from the ashes into a multiplayer fucking nuke fest. And you're surprised it doesn't work. Really?
So anyway, the last I want to get into that in just a sec. Just the last thing to point out, if there's one skill that if you're asking what tech skill can I pick up that's almost sure to be cool, brand new, and get me a job, it's machine learning. And you're going to want to...
Can vouch.
Yeah?
Can vouch. I'm in that field. Can vouch for that.
Yeah. And the libraries for that are easier than ever. Google, the project that shipped includes, and this was like the amazing part for me, because this is like the big milestone. Years ago, when the first universities worked out image classification to some extent, and they were able to point a classifier at an image and get like confidence intervals for what's actually in the photo. That is now a standard Hello World tutorial you can download for free and run on a commodity graphics card. So we're at the point now where this stuff is as accessible now as, the tools for mobile apps were 5 years ago. So there's no better time to get learning just looking up TensorFlow and the related libraries. It's definitely a thing worth picking up. Okay, Fallout 76. I saw the outrage. I saw people like, this game sucks. And I think
because it's not Fallout.
you have eloquently and verbosely illustrated the sheer suckage of this game. I can't top, and I don't want to top anything you've just said. If
you took every black hole in our universe, and how much it sucked. Even though for all my physics friends, technically I know that black holes don't suck because sucking involves a vacuum of air and space is pretty much a perfect vacuum and there's no air in space. What black holes do is not suck, but rather pull things towards them through their sheer gravity. But you know what I mean? Their suckage, if you took the suckage of every black hole in the universe, it would still be less than the suckage of Fallout 76. It's horrendous. It's the worst. I would literally rather meet all my ex-girlfriends' mothers and have high tea with them for like 3 hours straight sober and have them rattle off to me about all the reasons I suck than play Fallout 76 for 5 minutes. That is how much I hate Fallout 76.
That is the strongest possible indictment of a game I've ever heard in my life. But I understand the letdown because Fallout was a great series and going Mamorpago on it seemed like a weird move. And here it is. But, okay, so would you then...
Weird flex, but okay.
But would you classify Fallout 76 as greater or lesser in terms of suckage than the Diablo mobile game?
I don't know. Diablo mobile game is yet to exist. It's theory. We don't know if it...
Oh, okay. So it's still has a
But by
chance.
virtue that it's on mobile, yes, it's worse.
So I just, because that meme, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke? Like, that's also... that's been like second to the Pikachu memes lately.
I would rather put my own penis through a meat grinder than play Diablo on mobile.
Because the thing is, the last time I played Diablo was Diablo 3, and I'm not going to lie, it was so grindy and so repetitive that what I ended up doing was I was playing Diablo on one screen and watching literally NCIS on the other screen, and that was where the entertainment was for me.
Or as it's known in the black community, Nickus.
Yeah, I am not going to venture into trying to pronounce
I'm
that.
comfortably close to the other N word, but yeah.
Oh no, I got into trouble for that on a chat room a couple days ago. We started talking about, for some reason, French colonies, and then Niger came up, and I was like, well, what is the plural for, what do you call like a bunch of people from Niger? Do you call them Nigers? And then the room went quiet, and that was actually pretty amazing. So someone's actually like, that's racist. I'm like, no, you're dyslexic. I did not type the word you think I typed. That's not how this works. But the only frame of reference I have for Diablo on mobile is Command & Conquer on mobile. So there was a point where they...
Okay, we're going into it. Fine.
No, I'm not. Other than to say, when I saw what they launched, there was like 3 mechanics and like 2 mutations. Like it wasn't a game. It was just like the graphics and the sounds that you'd expect, but it wasn't an actual game to me. So
I would rather give my Beretta a blowjob than play Command & Conquer on mobile. I'm kidding. I don't own a Beretta. I own a Smith & Wesson, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, it's Beretta rhymes.
American guns. But my point was, yes, okay. So those games suck. They're terrible. Gaming is dead to me. Thankfully, Nintendo is saving gaming with Smash Bros. Ultimate and Octopath Traveler. So there's that. Memes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to do memes, and then that's it. So bring up your memes, share your screen. Let's go through some memes. And while he does that, I just want to point out that I'm actually kind of stoked for the Detective Pikachu movie for multiple reasons. It's voiced by Ryan Reynolds. That's going to be awesome because any project he works on, it kind of revolves around him a little bit. So that's going to be cool. It's written by the person that co-wrote Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and it's set in a world which is appropriately realized. They didn't try and go too cartoony or too realistic on the Pokemon that they put in there. So I think it's going to be a very good movie. So
I think so too.
All right, so
shall we do that? Are we going right in with the Detective Pikachu memes?
Let's do it. Share your screen out, and then let's... And just make sure you minimize your Pornhub tabs before you do. I don't want to...
Fam, I've already closed those tabs already.
I won't ask when you close them.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so...
Yep, that's my dumb face. You see, now there's more of me.
Just for kicks.
Oh, yes?
Detective Pikachu. triple homicide, and
Gotta catch them all.
I will give credit to Caitlin on Twitter, aka at the Factual Prep. That's the person whose Twitter profile I stole this from. So not to be fair is fair.
Yeah.
The other thing is Disney released a second Toy Story 4 trailer today because their first one was completely overshadowed by the Detective Pikachu trailer, but it wasn't enough to turn the spotlight.
Oh my god.
Okay, do you realize how bad that is? That there is another two Toy Story 4 trailers, and nobody cares because Detective Pikachu.
Oh my god. So basically where we're at is Pikachu is ripping up the internet, like legitimately, because if Disney can't get a trailer in, then that's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Jesus.
And then there's this unfortunate dude says, "Count your blessings. You could have wake up looking like this." What the fuck? I love black people Twitter.
Oh my god, that is like, that is harsh. Oh man.
Random reactions to that. It actually isn't that funny. Let's see. Then there's this guy. I'm 6'3", tatted, played college football. I rap, I sing, I cook, and I'm single. Like, what the fuck? You single because you're a loser? You're a loser with toothless.
Jeez. Twitter has no chill. Twitter has absolutely no fucking chill whatsoever.
Zero chill. When your mom says you can stay at your cousin's house, it's funny because they're actually really cousins. For those of you who are a darker complexion, the two people pictured in here are 2/3 of Migos, which is a rap group consisting of two cousins and an uncle. And actually, the guys pictured here are
the cousins.
They're not actually the cousins. It's the cousin and the uncle. But yeah, it's extra funny.
Nice.
Let's see. When the N-word is beat out. Yes, I love this. I'm giving this 5 scripts out of 5. 5 no scripts out of 5.
Ouch. Yeah, that is quite painful.
Unfortunate thing. Puberty challenge.
What he did was get in the car.
Giving this.
Wow. And there's
7 out of.
Those lips, dude. What the hell? Like that's amazing.
I don't know. 7 out of 10 no scripts.
Good. No.
Today I found some sunshine citrine spirit quartz. Aren't they beautiful? My fat ass thought this was chicken.
Nice.
7 out of 10.
That's like properly fried chicken though. Oh my god, dude, the shocked Pikachu meme. Fuck, I've seen that face like a million times.
This is the best. I love this meme so much. I love the Detective Pikachu memes so much. I want to explain to you how much I love the Detective Pikachu memes. I love the Detective Pikachu memes so much that if I was a happily married man and the Detective Pikachu memes existed, I would ask my wife for permission to make love to the Detective Pikachu memes. That's... Y'all be like, fuck capitalism, but scared to Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then there's various Detective Pikachu memes. And then I just wanted to pay tribute since it's the anniversary of the roll safe as in being smart meme. Can't get fired if you don't have a job.
Oh, dude, that South African economy jokes, man. Too soon.
And then my final meme for...
yes. I love these. Yeah. 40K. 1080p.
And then shout out to all my 40K players out there.
Oh, that is RoboChew, dude. That is ridiculous. That's amazing.
Space Marines. So that's about all I.
Cool.
Cool. That's all I got.
So we have now had a very successful meme review, and my god, the memes are everywhere. The last thing I will say, people have pointed out on the memes, and I don't know, that it was a bit weird that the Pikachu meme trended, and then like in the middle of the trend, suddenly they announced like a Detective Pikachu movie, and everyone's like, basically that Fry reaction meme, you know, not sure if, like, was this planned or was this organic? We don't know. Cool. All right, so
Yeah.
I think that is it for this week's edition. Apologies for not being able to live stream it. I got a big fat outage notice 2 days ago, and apparently the connection still isn't great. So it's a pre-recorded upload, but of course you can message us at Noscript Show on Twitter and tell us all the nasty things that you thought about us. And also Brad and David, you already know how to get a hold of us, so that's cool.
So, yeah, we're very sorry, guys. We let you down, but it's worthwhile.
All right, until next time, where hopefully we can do this live and chat to the 3 people that show up and talk to us. Have a good one.
Peace, guys.